Insert coin, press start, and all rise.
You may be seated. Welcome to the best game of all time. My name is Judge Avery, and in this court, speeding under the influence of mushrooms carries a heavy fine. We're here today to settle a dispute between two of the greatest go-kart simulators who both believe they have the right to the title of Best Kart Racer of All Time. Let's meet our litigants and their counsel. Crash Team Racing, being represented in my courtroom today by the Steve Martin of the three amigos behind the Sounds of Stadia podcast. It's Chris. Welcome to the courtroom, Chris.
Thank you for having me, Your Honor. It's a pleasure to be here today representing the best kart racer and one of the best mascots of all time.
Oh, well, we may or may not have decided best console mascot of all time, but no spoilers. Go check the last, one of the more recent episodes in the feed. And his opposing counsel on the opposite side, representing Mario Kart, being represented in my courtroom today by the Chevy Chase of the three amigos behind the equally fantastic Sounds of Stadia podcast. They're both from Sounds of Stadia. Welcome to the courtroom, Richie.
Like my opposition, I'd like to render my thanks for having me, and I'm actually representing the best gaming mascot of all time and the best kart racer of all time.
Well, we'll have to see on one of those fronts, but on the other one, we'll find out. We'll find out today. All right. If you've never, and by the way, Tom, the Martin Short of the three amigos, has been held in contempt of court for failure to appear. If you've never witnessed Tom's the other Sounds of Stadia guy. Go check out their podcast.
Arguably the best mascot of Sounds of Stadia. But wait, that's also yet to be decided.
Yeah, I'd agree with you that, Chris.
Fascinating. I don't know how I would adjudicate that if you're both arguing for the same person. And who would the other option be? The screen in the corner where you play the video clips? Who knows?
Oh yeah, possibly.
Yeah,
He'd beat us all.
I never thought of the bottom corner.
Okay, and that has now supplanted Tom in your eyes for importance.
I need to think on this.
I'm sure he'll love watching this episode. If you've never witnessed a case in the best game court, here's how it works. Counsel for each litigant will present their arguments over 4 rounds. Because justice is blind, but I'm a nerd, I'm going to award points to the counselor that impresses me most with their arguments in each round. And at the end of the trial today, the side with the most points shall be declared the best kart racer of all time. Now, counselors, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you Diddy Kong?
I do.
Right, let us begin. Round 1, Edwie's represented in the building, but not one of the ones y'all picked, so... I will say I had an amicus brief filed by someone on Twitter today saying, who I mentioned this to, saying, "Oh, it's Diddy Kong, right?" I'm like, sorry, it's not what we're doing. Round 1 is opening statements. Each of our guests will get 5 minutes to open the case for their side. The most impressive opening statement wins the round. And Chris, since you're in the box to the left, we'll let you go first. Counselor, you may proceed.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. I would just like to start off by saying that there's nothing that needs to be said about Crash Team Racing. Of course, Naughty Dog's 1999 seminal entry into the kart racing world. After following the massive success of Crash Bandicoot 1, Crash Bandicoot 2, and you guessed it, Crash Bandicoot 3, we got Crash Team Racing taking a jump into the 4 wheels of rubber and hitting that blacktop as well as they possibly could. They showed us that Crash Bandicoot is not just about jumping and stomping and smashing crates. He can also kick ass out there on the racetrack too. He brings us a bunch of tracks. He brings us all his fun cast of characters. And I, for one, had an amazing time playing this game in my childhood. It came out when I was at the ripe old age of 9 on the PlayStation 1, one of the best-selling consoles of all time. And unlike other kart platformers on other consoles, which shall not be named by myself, it's the best
until
on
later
that
when I
platform.
make you, but
until a bit later on, yes, potentially.
Yeah, no.
But unfortunately, Your Honor, I do not have to put up with not only being the best, but not even the second best, because I think my counterpart over there, unfortunately, is rocking a T-shirt that represents a game that's arguably the best racer on that console. And
I object.
It's his opening statement. You can't.
I'm objecting right now. Donkey Kong is in Mario Kart.
But does he not have his own game, Your Honor? Does he not have his own game?
No, he does not. Donkey Kong does not.
Little
Diddy Kong
brother,
was.
cousin. In any case, it's his opening statement, Counselor. Let him proceed.
Yes, so as I was saying, plenty of carts, many tracks we've got to choose from with a beautiful cast of characters. We just don't just reskin these characters. We've got Crash, we've got Coco, we've got Dr. Neo Cortex, ladies and gentlemen. Voiced in this game, I will point out right now, by one Clancy Brown of Mr. Krabs from SpongeBob fame and many other games you may recognize. We've got furry animals. Who doesn't love animals who ride cars without driver's license? We've got Polar and Perrin there representing our four-legged feline and polar bear friends. We've got giant tigers. We've got nitrous oxide, embryo, engine. The plone wears the puns is hilarious. We've got Papu who can't even fit in his car. Yet he was the number one boss that you probably all took down when you played Crash Bandicoot 1 by jumping on his rotund belly. And we've got Komodo Joe and Ripperoo, the crazy psychopath that is also somehow still allowed a driver's license, hitting the blacktop and destroying crates and throwing all of the mystery prize about, because this kart racer does what other kart racers do, but it does them even better. They show us the power of the Aku mask, Uka mask, giving you a shield, giving you power-ups. We've got missiles, we've got rolling bombs, TNT, nitro. You see a green or red crate, you hop for your life until that thing is off your head. Speed boots, invisibility, blue orbs. I don't think I need to say any more, Your Honor, except for there's a long list of Crash Bandicoot levels as well. We've got Crash Grove, Mystery Caves, races, a campaign. This game, Your Honor, has a story mode, and that cannot be said for many other campaigns or games that are out there. It's also got battle mode and 1v1 races, but I digress. I just want to point out that this game was made by Naughty Dog, once again, Mr. Evan Wells and Bruce Straley, who went on to Jak and Daxter fame, Uncharted fame, The Last of Us fame. These creators in themselves have more honors, Game of the Year awards, DICE awards, than my representative has on his shelf. And with that, I bring this to a close. That Crash Team Racing deserves a remake. Nay, it got a remake and is just currently sitting in the top 10 sales charts for next-gen consoles. I ask you, does Nintendo Switch offer next-gen graphics? Or even a good online infrastructure? But that's a different argument for a different day. I rest my case, Your Honor.
Thank you, Counselor Chris. And I appreciate you reading off the Wikipedia article for Crash Team Racing. Counselor Richie, your opening argument for Mario Kart, and you may proceed.
So, Your Honor, my opponent here, he mentioned Crash Team Racing started in 1999. The spin-off that he alluded to, Diddy Kong Racing, was launched in 1997, 2 years before Crash Team Racing. Crash Team Racing is nothing but a rip-off of a franchise that came before it. The first Mario Kart came out in 1992, a whole 7 years before. So he mentions the story mode in the first game. It's like, after 7 years, I hope there'd be some innovation. But
yet Mario Kart has yet to do it still.
Diddy Kong Racing did.
Counselor.
Oh, once again, Your Honor, he's referring to another game, not in this argument. Did Diddy Kong Racing game, is this better than your defendant's Mario Kart?
No.
Counselor, so I will have to say, the green box above your head does say Mario Kart. Just saying.
I just wanted to square that away. But my issue is, Mario Kart is such a story franchise. When you think of kart racing, Mario Kart wasn't actually
story. Interesting.
Counselor, let's let your opposition get through some of his opening statement.
Yeah, Mario Kart wasn't the first kart racer. However, it defined the genre. Super Mario Kart on the SNES or the SNES, if you prefer, defined kart racing. And then Mario Kart 64 perfected the formula. It was the first in 3D. And anytime, if you ask anyone about kart racing, they don't think of Crash Team Racing. They think of Mario Kart, because that's how impactful it is. Without Mario Kart, there is no Crash. And can a Bandicoot even drive a go-kart? It makes no sense. Can an Italian plumber? Highly likely. Yeah, a Bandicoot collects apples. Do Bandicoots even eat apples? No,
I object, Your Honor. I
cares.
object. They are Wumpa fruits. They are not apples.
A rip-off of apples. An Italian plumber collects money, so he has the funds to buy the go-kart.
I'm yet to
and
see
if you
Mario
play Mario well,
any
he'll collect a lot of money. He can afford to start his own racetrack. But I think I'm going to save the rest of my arguments for further because it's such a storied franchise. Everyone knows Mario Kart. Everyone knows the cast of characters. I don't need to name who's in Mario Kart 64 because everyone knows. He had to name a lot of people that you've probably forgotten about unless you grew up playing Crash in the 90s. Where if you've grown up playing the kart racing now, you probably know. You know Mario's, you know Luigi is, you know Princess Peaches. You might even know who Toad is. And with that, I'll hand it back.
Thank you, Counselor Richie. In this initial round, by virtue of the fact that Counselor Richie spent half his time defending the game he's not defending today, I think I'm going to have to give this one to Counselor Chris. At the end of round one, Counselor Chris is on the board with 5 points, but and Counselor Richie with a 0. But again, it's been one round. You really could have could have won the way there. Let's move on to round two, and we're going to present your evidence. I'm going to let you guys get into this. It's clearly you are interested in doing so. Over 3 pieces of criteria that help to define the evidence for why this game, your game, should be considered the best kart racer. The evidence we're going to be discussing today, and I'll give each one 5 minutes of open debate, is the race experience. What does it feel like to drive that game, to play those kart racers? Number 2, the race tracks. Obviously, it wouldn't be much of a racer if you weren't in interesting courses and locales. And number 3, the series on the whole. The story of the franchise, the start, the finish, the entirety of it. So we're going to begin with, we're going to let Counselor Richie, since he's currently not in the lead, we'll let him kick off. I'm going to set 5 minutes on the timer for open debate on the first criteria in Present Your Evidence, which is the race experience. Counselor Richie, you may proceed.
So the race experience, I'm going to be honest here, the first game was in 2D. It was on a platform, as I said in my opening statements, in 1992. It's limited what that game could do, but they still made a really fun game there. A 2D racing game that was awesome, and to this day, people still enjoy it on modern hardware. In fact, I have it on my Switch, and that is a fun game to play. But as I said in my opening statement, it was really Mario Kart 64 that defined the genre. And let's be fair, it's the race experience was phenomenal. Whether you're playing against friends or you're playing against AI, how can playing against AI in a racing game be fun? It's never happened before, yet they did it in Mario Kart 64. And they did it with smart implementation of mechanics, making sure that at no point did you feel overpowerful, at no point were you miles ahead of your competition. You always were in a race for the entire time you were on the course. And then let's not forget about the power-ups. We had everything from the classic Mario mushroom, but instead of making Mario go super, this time it was your speed boost. Such a good implementation. The infamous blue spiny shell. How many races, how many controllers have been thrown in frustration because of that? How many memories have been made sat on the couch playing with your friends because of that shell? And for those who are actually good at the game, the green shells should not be overlooked. If you got a good shot, them things can win you a race. And then you got the more quirky stuff. The lightning ball shrinking your position, and what's more fun having like playing as Yoshi and flattening Bowser? Can you do that in Crash Team Racing? I think not.
Mostly because neither Yoshi nor Bowser are in Crash Team Racing.
But exactly.
Question, Your Honor.
Go ahead, Counselor.
I'd like to put to my my competition here. In Mario Law, does the mushroom make the character larger?
Yes, but you're feeding it into the engine of the go-kart.
How come the go-kart
Mario's not consuming the mushroom, he's putting in the engine.
So
the power of the mushroom is going into the engine.
So in this world, both the humans consume the mushrooms and they also use them as fuel.
Yes.
Okay, just wanted clarity on that. Thank you.
Humans can consume alcohol. Alcohol can be used to power vehicles.
Okay, just wanted some clarity on that. Thank you.
Counselor, are you making is your litigation here based on the code of Mario law? How can you cite the statute?
Your Honor, I'm just trying to understand this world in which mushrooms are also hats, but apparently they're also edible. It's a very confusing, and apparently these people are allowed to drive around during lightning storms.
Don't act like you've never thrown a mushroom on your head.
Throw bananas at each other, Your Honor. This sounds dangerous.
Bananas are well known in pop culture to be slippery. It's well established in pop culture.
But anyway, I do have to ask though, Counselor, isn't your series, Counselor Chris, all about exploding things? How is that less safe?
I'm not declaring it unsafe, Your Honor. I'm simply saying if in real life a car crashes, it will explode. If a real car goes over a banana, nothing happens. Just wanted some clarity on that. That's all.
We're not racing in cars. We're racing in go-karts.
Same thing.
So, are you suggesting that a go-kart, when applied to a banana, would actually have traction problems?
In the Mario universe, yes. It's clearly established. And Mario is clearly not in this universe, despite what the terrible film might have suggested.
We may have also discussed that.
I won't even use that as ammunition.
Yeah. I digress. We're talking about the experience of the game, not the law. And the experience is fantastic. Let's be fair. I've already alluded to the drift mechanic. How cool is it to just drift around corners and get that speed boost coming out? And yeah, all these mechanics.
Counselor Chris, would you like to provide any evidence whatsoever for your side? Because you should probably jump in here. There's 20 seconds left on the clock.
Oh, I thought we were taking turns still on this particular one.
It's
okay. Okay, we'll talk about drift mechanics then. The drift mechanics in Crash Bandicoot Team Racing
are a rip-off.
Are, of course, copied. There is nothing wrong with copying from greatness. I'll give you that. Iteration in gaming is what makes games newer and different every single generation we get them. We are but learning from our predecessors. And the drifting in Crash Bandicoot is not just something fun. It's not just sliding left and right. It's an art form, ladies and gentlemen, members of the jury. It is an art form. If you can drift to absolute perfection, you can gain the cutting edge in your competition. Forget the blue shells and the lightning storms. If you can drift and hit those angles, hit that apex like a true driving champion, you will win regardless.
Like the drifting in Mario Kart isn't an art form. You can hold a drift forever if you
I am not denying it's an art form, Your Honor. But within Crash Team Racing, if you can drift, you get drift boosts, which increase your speed based on your skill. So if you get better at that game, speed boosts. I don't believe it, Your Honor. False evidence being presented in
Mario Kart has speed boosts off drifts.
I'm dubious.
In this instance, I'm gonna have to agree with Counselor Richie because it very much does. The sparks change color and then you boost on out there.
In Mario 64, as you're drifting, you get the letters that start off white, that go yellow, then they go orange, they go red. When you get red, you can get your boost.
Which one's this in again?
Mario Kart 64 and beyond.
So are we talking about one game here, Your Honor, or several games? Because I thought I was just defending Crash Team Racing. Yeah, here we are debating Donkey Kong games, Mario Kart 64, NES games. Your Honor, this is supposed to be a fair trial. Yeah, I'm being put up against several different games at this point. Can
it's not my fault. My franchise has existed for a long time, and yours has not.
Well, I'll tell you, it is Crash Team Racing, which is a named game, versus Mario Kart, which is not the name of any of the games. So my apologies if it wasn't clear that we're going to go broad here, Counselor.
You know what? If Chris wants to bring in other Crash Team Racing games, I'll be happy with him to do so.
I would certainly hope he does, especially when we get down to cross-examination, because I covered the whole thing. So for the criteria of the race experience, just because clearly Counselor Chris did not come prepared today to discuss any other game, I'll give him the points to give him a slight edge, because it sounds like he's going to need it.
All these points were stolen from Mario!
Unfortunately,
call it a blue shell, Richie. Call it a blue shell.
Are you saying the judge just launched a blue shell?
The judge in his blue t-shirt.
You're already in the lead. I can't give you that would take you. Anyways,
just because you're hit by the blue shell, if you're that far out in front, it doesn't mean you lose still.
Very confident from Counselor Chris today. Let's move on to the second piece of evidence I want you to present to me in this 5 minutes of, and I'll say it again, open debate.
I get it. I've
and
never
that
been a
is
car.
that's probably a good thing. That is the racetracks. So what you're driving can also be as important as where you're driving. So tell me in your words, give me the evidence for why your tracks are the better tracks representing the kart racing genre. And since we started with Counselor Richie in the past one, we'll start with Counselor Chris this time. 5 minutes on the clock and begin.
Thank you, Your Honor. Quite frankly, ladies and gentlemen, members of the jury, variety is the spice of life. And
I
this
don't
game,
know what jury you're seeing here. This is the First Circuit Court of Gaming Source Network. I don't need no jury to decide this case. It's all about
Sorry, Honor. I was simply referring to the beautiful people of the Stadia and gaming community out there who are most likely watching on.
He doesn't even know where he is.
Your Honor, I'm overwhelmed by the fumes coming out of the old engine that is Mario Kart that keeps washing over to my side of the screen. Unfortunately, as I was saying before I was interrupted, the variety is, of course, the spice of life, and Crash Team Racing brings you many, in fact, different levels with a variety of shapes, twists, turns, caves, boosts, drops, tricks, and shortcuts, because we all love a good shortcut. Starting off with quite an innocent level, Crash Cove, giving us the reminiscent memories of the original Crash Bandicoot game, washing up on that beach. You get to skim through the surf on the beach, hearing the sand, going through a speed boost, over a pirate ship, into the Mystery Caves level, diving deep underground, into the Sewer Speedway, chased by various villains and enemies and competition aside you on the track. We've got Colosseums, we've got turbo tracks, we've got competitions, we've got temples, pyramids, canyons. Blizzard, what's it called? Oh, Blizzard's Buff is one of the best games. And don't come at me with Rainbow Road, Richie. I don't need 50 variations of the same damn track. This game has 18 tracks in total. And seeing as though we're branching out, I'm going to say it, Crash Team Racing Nitro Refueled, which you can play on Next Gen, can play Mario Kart on Next Gen, adds another 14 tracks with Crash Nitro Kart levels being added as well. That gives you 32 tracks in total. You might only have 32 across 12 generations, Richie, on Mario Kart, quite frankly. But half of them are just Rainbow Road, rehashed.
To be perfectly honest with you,
rainbows in my life, Richie. Only
to
so
be
many
perfectly honest with you, I don't know how many tracks there is in Mario Kart, because there's just so many. It's just no one can count that far. And he's mentioning things like washing up on the beach, and my mind goes to Koopa Troopa Beach. He mentions shortcuts again, Koopa Troopa. That exhilaration of jumping, getting that jump perfect through the waterfall. Everyone listening to this knows what I mean. No one remembers or any of the things he's just mentioned about Crash. We have Wario Stadium,
ships, canyons. I'm pretty
he
sure
mentions Radio Road
things.
as if it's a joke. It's a phenomenal track. It just simply is.
Could I inquire about the physics behind Rainbow Road?
It's in space. Don't ask questions.
Okay. Because last I checked, Your Honor, rainbows were not something you could drive a go-kart on.
Have you ever tried to drive a go-kart on a rainbow? I think not.
Counselor Richie, are you suggesting that without Counselor Chris's argument doesn't hold weight until he attempts to drive a go-kart on a rainbow?
Yes. In the established universe, in the Mario series, we know things don't work as they do in the series. You can walk on clouds. You can't do that in this universe. We're not talking about this universe. So him bringing up, saying, oh, you can't drive a go-kart in the rainbow, it doesn't even make sense. And he's never tried it, so he doesn't know. But we have...
I've also not tried putting mushrooms in my car, but that's another argument.
Go-kart, not car. Different vehicle. And we talk about the variety. Admittedly, in its humble origins, Mario Kart was just go-kart. But even in Mario Kart 64... different characters had different weight classes that impacted how they performed. Right back in the first 3D kart racer ever made, we already had started adding that variation. And again, mentioned this came out many years before Crash Team Racing. In more modern ones, you get everything from motorbikes to planes to other go-karts, and you get customizability on your go-karts for every single character, and a huge cast of characters that people know who they are.
I object, Your Honor. I object. Huge cast of characters just because it's the same character in several different skins, like Rose Gold Peach. I'm sorry, that's not a different character. That's just
that is not the
motif.
That isn't the point I'm making.
Peach.
The Mario franchise has a plethora of characters throughout the story history of the Mario franchise. Full stop. That Mario Kart has incorporated into the games, all with their own unique personalities, the unique animations, and yeah, what more can I say? And you look at a Koopa Trooper, right? You know what a Koopa Trooper is. Can you name a miscellaneous villain from Crash? Because I can't.
Well, I would hope that Counselor Chris could, because if he couldn't, that would not be great for this court. But
I can name them right now. If you'd like me to, Your Honor.
But the guy
why don't we save that for cross-examination? In this case, just because Counselor Chris, no, actually, I'm going to have to give this to Counselor Richie, just for the simple fact that basically he's saying the only way Counselor Chris can make a convincing argument is if he strapped himself into a go-kart and flung himself onto a rainbow.
Your Honor, this very courtroom exists because it exists in the world of physics. If we're going to be dishing out points to people who don't believe in physics, then...
I believe in physics. I believe in the physics of the universe I'm talking about, though.
So he's denying his existence within his own game argument, Your Honor.
I don't exist in Mario Kart. I do not exist in Mario Kart. I question your sanity if you do not understand that.
He's had too many mushrooms, Your Honor. Too many mushrooms.
This courtroom does not recognize. This courtroom it covers all dimensions, so we recognize the valid physics in multiple locations. But let's wrap up the presentation of evidence with the series in general. So now, of course, Counselor Chris, you will need to talk about the other games because I want to know why the series on the whole represents the kart racing genre the best. And of course, because we went with Counselor Chris the last time, we'll be back to Counselor Richie to kick us off on this one. I've got 5 minutes on the clock. You may proceed.
Okay. So why does Mario Kart represent the kart racing genre?
Because it's all...
No. Yes, you're right. It's a story franchise. The original game is now old, and yet on the most modern Nintendo hardware, you can still play it, and it's still fun to play.
How is that 4K on that hardware?
Who cares? Who cares?
Do you really need Super Mario Kart in 4K though?
The truth.
I mean,
if we're talking graphics, the truth is most people still only have 1080p TVs, and you're not buying a Switch for the quality of the graphics anyway. You're buying a Switch because for the quality of the games and because they're fun.
Old.
I'd rather have a fun game at 1080p than a boring game at 4K. Any day of the week. Any day of the week.
But
I
it's
also
nice
don't
to
have
have
a 4K
the option,
TV,
right?
so it is. I
Nice
will give you, but that's not. We're not talking about graphics. We're talking
Just
about
think of those. Just think of those rainbows in 4K. The colors, the HDR, that high dynamic range, showing the richness off of those 80 levels of Rainbow Road.
I don't disagree with you.
Alas,
a 4K option would be nice, but it's
Impossible.
not important. It's not impossible. It's just not important for what a kart racer is. The essence of a kart racer is sitting down with your friends, with the controller in hand, playing against each other. Them stories you make, that blue shell at the end of the race that annoys Chris because I beat him. I'm sure that's happened at some point. That's what kart racing about. It's not a simulation game. It's not grid. It's not a simulation game. It's all about the fun. And Mario just screams fun. Right from the early games. Yeah, he does. And doesn't it put a smile on your face when he does it?
The first 10
what's Crash do? He spins around, gets a bit dizzy, and eats a fake apple.
I think it's a Wampa fruit.
A fake apple.
And I think you'll find Crash goes, whoa, quite a lot. But he doesn't go down pipes.
If we're talking about what people think of when they think of kart racing, I've played Mario Kart 64 in a nightclub. Can you say that about Crash Team Racing? You cannot, because no one ever has.
Sounds like it says something more about your choice of nightclub than it does anything else.
It was
I
nice
digress.
discovery.
It's more about whether or not Counselor Richie is single than it says anything else. But
Yeah.
I would like to point out, Your Honor, that I know we're talking about games, and obviously I can't deny that a franchise like Mario Kart came before, but that's not Crash's fault. Sometimes people have to crawl before you can walk, and thankfully, Mario Kart did that first. It failed.
Why
so
is Crash still crawling?
He's not crawling. He's in 4K Ultra HD with online support and new maps and customizations added all the time.
And between Crash Team Racing and the remake Crash Team Racing, what happened, Chris? What happened?
Time passed, and yet you're still on Rainbow
And
Road.
no games were ever released of any note. Yet, Mario Kart has been persistent in releasing high-quality games on a plethora of platforms since its inception.
Question, Your Honor, and to the right honourable gentleman, Richie. The version of Mario Kart you are playing now, was that not in fact a port from a previous console?
I'll concede it was. However,
Yet
that's how
Team
good,
Racing
that is how
is
good
not
the game.
allowed.
That's how good the game was.
Under
they
those same
remastered it
rules.
and reported it like they did with Crash. They just took a game and repackaged it. And to be fair, it's not the fault of Mario Kart that the Wii U was terrible.
You're right. But, Your Honor, like I was saying beforehand, Crash Team Racing Nitro Refueled, of course, brought the amazing tracks and characters from the original game and mashed them together with Nitro Kart from 2003 and put them into one amazing brand new package that you can play on your current next-gen hardware. More tracks, online play added, customization features. You can play as Baby Crash, Your Honor, Baby Crash. Now,
Objection,
yes, Baby
objection.
Mario, yes.
He
Well, let's all
complained
agree.
about various iterations of Mario, and now he's bringing up the same argument for Crash.
Let's all agree,
Double
though.
standards.
A baby bandicoot is much cuter than a small plumber.
I will concede that point. But it is cute as Yoshi.
we
We all saw what happened with the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park. Small dinosaurs cannot be trusted.
Wrong universe, Chris. Wrong universe.
Compies. Rainbows.
counselors. I'm quite sorry, but there's absolutely no way I'm not giving the points to a baby bandicoot. It's cuter than a small plumber.
You're not me off that one.
We're gonna go ahead and give that. We're gonna go ahead and give that one to Chris. At the end of round 2, our scores are: Counselor Chris is sitting at 15 points, and Counselor Richie is sitting at 5 points. But that's okay. There are plenty more points left on the board as we move into round 3, which is cross-examination. We're going to see how well you've been paying attention to your opponent's arguments today. And knowing what my questions are, I hope you've been paying attention because you've heard a lot of this already. Because hopefully that attention that you paid has prepared you for cross-examination. I'm going to ask 5 trivia questions about each of these topics. However, I'll be asking them to your opponent first. If they get the question right, they get 5 points. If they don't, you can still prove your mastery of your own subject by stealing the question for 3 points. And because you never know, some of these questions get a little obscure, at any point in time, you can object to 2 of those questions, and I will give you a hint for how, possibly to help you get the answer. Counselor Richie, because you are behind at the moment, we will go ahead and let you go first as we quiz you about Crash Team Racing and its successors. The original Crash Team Racing game was released in 1999 on the original PlayStation. In that first installment, an extraterrestrial visits our planet, challenging Earth to a survival of the fastest. And if we lose, we become a giant parking lot. What was this alien's name, which is a play on a combustible gas used to boost race cars with the symbol NO2?
NO2 is nitrous oxide.
That is correct. It was nitrous oxide, depending on how you want to spell it.
Comedy gold, ladies and gentlemen. Comedy gold.
My science history helped me in the video game question.
Not with the rainbow physics,
fantastic.
though.
Yeah.
We will find out. We'll find out. Question number 2. Speaking of Nitro, the second main installment in the series was called Crash Nitro Kart. In that game, the Bandicoots on Team Bandicoot are led by Crash, of course. But for the points, name either of the other 3 members of Team Bandicoot, 2 of whom sound like they'd be at home in a breakfast cereal. I would say, if you were paying attention to your opponent at any point today.
I know, but the problem is he's talking about Crash Team Racing, and I don't care about that franchise.
Disrespectful.
I'm gonna, you know what? I'm gonna use an objection.
All right. The hint for this question.
No, it's Coco.
Objection. You already asked for the hint.
But I did not give him the hint, and that is correct, and I'm giving him the points. Good. Almost, you almost needed a good use. My hint was going to be, you'd be cuckoo if you don't get the cereal reference. It's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. The other,
UK, we're not.
Chris, you want to show off and mention the other 2 members of Team Bandicoot?
I guess it was Uka. Sorry,
no, it was Crunch and Fake Crash.
Fake
Crash
was
I was actually thinking Crunch, but I thought it would be on the other side. But
yeah, Fake Crash
Coco
was
and
actually
Crunch.
just a glitch added in the first game, and they added them in for giggles.
There you go. Let's stick with Crash Nitro Kart. The main villain in this edition is the tyrannical Emperor Volo 27. He abducts the main characters and takes them to his own galaxy. The gameplay takes place in a hub world known as Velo's what? And this is also something you have heard today if you were paying attention to your opponent.
I don't know. Velo's Island.
I am sorry. It was not Velo's Island. Chris, can you steal?
Nope.
All right. Well, that solves that. It was Velo's Coliseum. Chris had mentioned Coliseums earlier in the show. No points on that one. Let's move on to question number 4, and these will be getting harder. Oh boy. Crash's Racing series has also made its appearance on mobile devices, including 2008's release entitled Crash Bandicoot Nitro Kart 3D. The game was released on iOS and a 3G console that lasted all of 2 years called Zeebo. Anybody remember Zeebo?
Nope.
But it also appeared on a Nokia handheld device in January 2009. What was the name of that Nokia gaming device?
The N-Gage.
Didn't even need the objection. That is correct. The Nokia N-Gage. Good pull on that one. What the heck is a Zeebo? It was apparently like it had 3G in it, so you could download games from cell towers. I
do remember the N-Gage. Yeah. Tomb Raider on it was okay.
And there were other versions that made it on the N-Gage as well. Question number 5, or as I like to call it, the impossibly difficult question, particularly because I don't know that you have any of this in the UK, so we'll find out. The last installment in the CTR series came out in 2019, Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled, as we have heard about throughout the show. This was a remaster of the original Crash Team Racing. In a bit of cross-promotion with Mondelez International, players could unlock special candy-themed cart customization items with the purchase of one of 2 items at their grocery store. Name either of those items.
I've never heard of this promotion. The company's involved with it, and so I don't have a chance here. So I've got an objection. I'm going to use it.
You do. All right. Here's your hint. Then they're sweet. And again, if you don't have these commercials over there, it really doesn't matter now, does it?
Yeah. I'm guessing it's some sort of sugary additive or sweetener. I don't know. I really haven't got a clue.
Unfortunately, no. Counselor Chris, can you steal?
I would guess mangoes based on the Wampa fruit, some kind of mango juice to go in line with that.
And they're not apples; they're mango based. Unfortunately, no. It was 2 things that you would find in the candy or gum aisle: Sour Patch Kids and Trident Vibes, which is a type of gum. Again, that's why they call it the impossibly difficult question. The tagline for Sour Patch Kids is first they're sour, then they're sweet.
See, I've probably heard that at some point, but we don't have Sour Patch Kids over here, so.
Objection, Your Honor. Yes, we do.
Do we?
Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, in any case, you didn't know it, so we're moving on. In that round, Richie picked up an additional 15 points, bringing him to 20, as compares to Chris's 5. And now Chris has the opportunity to pick up an additional 25 points himself as we quiz Chris on Mario Kart in his round of cross-examination. Question number 1. God help me if you don't get this. One of the most iconic tracks in the series has made an appearance in every major iteration as the last track of the game in the Special Cup. What is the name of this colorful course?
This is basically just cheating at this point.
I'd like to take A, Rainbow Road.
That is correct. If you hadn't got that, that would have just been real bad. Real bad.
It would.
Question number 2. The first game in the Mario Kart franchise, Super Mario Kart, was released in 1992 and sold nearly 9 million copies worldwide. The series offered traditional races, time trials, and also a battle mode. In that battle mode, the goal was to score 3 points against other players by destroying what object hanging off the cart?
Shells.
Shells. Unfortunately, that is not correct. Counselor Richie, can you steal?
Yes, I can. It would be balloons.
Damn it.
That is correct. 3 balloons attached to the cart. That's okay. So
I'm thinking of the shells when they circle around you. Damn it.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. All right, question number 3. Mario Kart 8 currently reigns as the best-selling Switch game, selling more than 41 million copies between the Wii U and Switch. In this edition of the series, it introduced a new mechanic to the series, allowing racers to drive for the first time where? We're not talking about a track or a course. We're talking about where they could drive for the first time.
On the move. Using the power of the Switch. Audibly.
While that's admirable, I think I'm going to have to say no to that one. We'll see if Counselor Richie can take this one. Counselor Richie.
Well, there was a Mario Kart for the 3DS and the DS, so it wouldn't be even being the first you could take Mario Kart on the move anyway. But I think I'm not 100% on this answer. But I didn't introduce anti-gravity so you could drive in space.
That is correct. You could drive. I'll take it. You could drive on the walls and the ceilings for the first time ever because it introduced anti-gravity. Very good. Good use of, or well, not even a good use of the head. Just stealing. All right. Question number 4. You still can make some points up here. Just say it. Still can make some points up. Question number 4. Mario Kart has escaped the small screen and has actually made it into the arcade with 4 different versions, including most recently a VR title. Who is the developer behind the arcade games? And you do have both of your objections remaining.
I will use one of my objections, please.
Right. Your hint is, unfortunately, power pellets are not one of the items you can pick up. So you kind of got to work backwards from there.
Could you repeat the original statement?
Yes, the Mario Kart has escaped the small screen and made it on the arcade with 4 different versions, including a VR title. Who is the developer behind the arcade games of Mario Kart? And power pellets are not one of the items you can pick up.
I really want to steal.
Well, you might get a chance.
Your Honor,
I'd like
to ask my representative just here. What's that?
Oh,
Bandai Namco, Your Honor. Bandai Namco.
That is correct. Great use of the objection. Great use of the objection. Yes, Namco, and then Bandai Namco, and then Namco, and they just, they change every time. But it's always been Namco. Fantastic. All right. One question left in this round. We've come to the impossibly difficult question. Mario Kart 64 was the second installment in the series and brought true 3D to the franchise due to Well, being on the Nintendo 64. But that didn't stop developers from trying something resembling 3D from the start. What was the name of the SNES technology used to simulate 3D effects, also popularized with F-Zero and Pilot Wings?
May I have my objection clue now, please?
You can. This is named for the numbered graphics mode that it used. And this silence is great for a video podcast.
Could you once again repeat the question while I think it out?
Absolutely.
Again, please,
Absolutely. While you furiously Google Mario Kart 64, blah, blah, blah. That didn't stop developers from trying to get... You don't need the whole thing. Oh, he looks like it. Okay. What is the name of the SNES technology used to simulate 3D effects, also popularized in the F-Zero and Pilot Wings games? It's also used in Chrono Trigger and about 40 of them, actually.
What do you mean?
I don't think there's anything.
Pac-Man goes. There's no help in this one.
I have an idea, but I'm pretty sure it's wrong because I'm pretty sure this technology wasn't in Mario Kart.
Well, Counselor Chris, do you want to go ahead and pass that on over for the steal?
I don't know. He keeps telling me he's still in 2D, so he doesn't care. I'm going to just, I don't know, go with 64 engine, something like that.
Unfortunately, that is not correct. Yeah. Counselor Richie, can you steal?
So I'm pretty sure this is wrong, but I know the SNES and some of the later games had an addition called the 3DFX chip, which was used in like Star Fox. But I don't think it was used in any of the games you mentioned as examples. So I'm just going to go with a 3DFX chip.
Unfortunately, that is not correct. It was called Mode 7. Mode 7. Mode 7 was the graphics mode that allowed the rotating backgrounds adding to the 3D effect. Mode 7. Again, that's why we call it the impossibly difficult question, because sometimes it's impossibly difficult to get. All right. At the end of that round, Counselor Chris added an additional 10 points to his score, while Counselor Richie took 6 points in the steal. And I would do the math to add it up, but it doesn't matter, because we're going to closing arguments. And in closing arguments, the litigants have one final chance to plead their case. The winner gets 50 points and wins the case, because that's just how we do it here at the First Circuit Court of the Gaming Source Network. Now, I do believe, if I'm doing the math properly, Counselor Richie at this point has taken the lead. So we're going to let him begin, or not. I don't know. I'm picking one of you at random. Here's how we go. Counselor Richie, we're going to let you present the closing argument for your game series, Mario Kart, as to kind of finally convince me why it should be considered the best kart racer of all time. Counselor, you may proceed.
So I'm going to start off by saying the reason this should be considered one of the best kart racing game series of all time is because its origin started with arguably the greatest game developer of all time. The person, without this person, we wouldn't be sat here. The game industry would be dead. I'm talking, of course, of Shigeru Miyamoto. He was the producer on the first 2 Mario Kart franchises. You can't get a better person working on a game franchise than Shigeru Miyamoto. That guy, he knows games. He's an absolute legend. So right from the beginning, Mario Kart was destined for greatness, and it's only excelled since. As I've mentioned, it popularized the kart gaming genre, even in 2D, perfected it into 3D, and kept high quality franchises coming all the way, even into the Wii U is terrible, and yet it is one of the great. Mario Kart 8 is one of the highest selling Nintendo games of all time, and that is saying something. We're talking about Nintendo games here, and with Mario Kart 8 being on a dead platform, managing to come over to the Switch, and then everyone realized this is a phenomenal game, as was Mario Kart 7, as was Double Dash, as was Mario Kart 64, Mario Kart DS, even Mario Kart. This game franchise succeeded with motion controls. How is that even possible? Motion controls are terrible. But it did. It succeeded. Would Crash Bandicoot succeed with motion controls? Would it succeed on a dead platform? I think not.
Because it's never been
Mario
on
Kart. All because no one made them. Because they give up on the franchise. It was only Mario. If Mario Kart hadn't been keep going, Crash Team Racing would never have come back. It's just that simple. Without Mario Kart, there is no Crash Team Racing.
Thank you, Counselor Richie. Counselor Chris, you may proceed with your closing argument.
I would just like to start to clear things up, ladies and gentlemen, Your Honour, that I do not deny those that came before laid the road, you could say, for what the future holds in kart racing, and that Crash Team Racing did not need to live on a dead platform and did not require a port across to it. However, I will forgive the sins of the games that followed afterwards. That's not down to the developers, of course, the famed Naughty Dog. You, Richie, you mentioned Shigeru Miyamoto, of course. Amazing part of the gaming industry. I said it at the beginning, Naughty Dog. They've revolutionized the gaming industry. They've gone on now to make stellar
Nintendo
games.
haven't?
I'm not saying they haven't. I'm not saying they haven't, but I'm saying, Richie, could you tell me the actual developer of the last Mario Kart game?
Yes, Hideki Kono.
His studio.
The studio is Nintendo.
The studio Nintendo. The famed studio Nintendo.
Yes, that famed development developer Nintendo. They're kind of well known.
Okay, let's go for variety instead then. So many different games came from Naughty. I thought they had a different internal studio like Game Freak who makes Pokemon and such. Anyway, back to my statement where I defend my own instead. Crash Team Racing, plenty of variety, plenty of characters, plenty of fun, and of course it just got a remake because they went back to the best. If you went back and remade the original NES one, probably wouldn't hold up by today's standards. However, that's no fault of either of the games. I'm simply here for bright.
I have a slight objection to make. Some of the original SNES,
it's fine. We just keep going.
Some of them were ported to Mario Kart 8, and they work. The quality was there right from the start.
Quality was there, and quality, ladies and gentlemen, does come from the stellar, as I mentioned. I keep going back to it: 4K HDR, amazing smooth 60 frames per second. You can play it on your current brand new consoles. You can play it on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One as well. But what I'd like to say is I'd just like to put some final last-minute fuel in this cart, Your Honour, and just say that Crash Bandicoot, yes, definitely built on what Mario Kart laid before it. However, it's elevated the platform. It's introduced more levels than you can imagine. It's introduced new mechanics, a story mode. The battle mode is already there, and it is super fun. And the online works. You can get games amongst many millions in that online infrastructure. Don't know what that sound was I just made there. I apologize for that. But I would just like to say both platforms, both characters, both mascots do have their space in the gaming world. However, for me, the little Bandicoot will always be more fun to play as than a plumber who hasn't been paid in decades.
Haven't been paid? All them coins he collects. That guy's loaded.
Well, he does own a castle. Well, he leases from the princess. Counselors, thank you for presenting your arguments in the First Circuit Court today. Speaking of circuits, we've made a circuit around the course to come to this decision today. And you've given me a lot to think about. You've given me to think about the fact that furry, two-legged animals somehow have been given, and there it is. Have somehow been given driver's licenses and allowed to shine. Counselor Richie has given me an adamant defense of the physics of driving on rainbows and walking on clouds, and living up to the mushrooms in the series.
Just makes sense.
But it's gavel. It's my time now. But at the end of the day, it comes down to the experience on the track. It comes down to the thrill of driving behind the wheel and experiencing that. And only one of these two series can actually give you that. Why today you can travel to Japan and sit behind the wheel of a Mario Kart at Super Nintendo World and drive the course and experience the feeling of driving that grabbing that mushroom and speeding up, or grabbing those coins out of the air and applying more getting more speed. That said, I still have to go back to a baby Bandicoot is cuter than a baby plumber. And for that alone, I'm going to have to give this one to Chris. Crash Team Racing is the best kart racer of all time. Gentlemen, so good to have you in my courtroom today.
It's
Chris,
true.
I apologize. The game is out all
racetrack.
around the world. I could not adequately represent this franchise. It's not
that
for the
okay.
game. It's my fault.
Don't blame yourself, Richie. Just blame the physics. Blame
me, I guess, really. But Counselor Chris, if people want to find you and your shows on the interwebs, once they leave the courtroom, where can they find you?
Of course, if you're not held in contempt, you can, of course, check myself, Chris, my lovely co-host to that side of me, where we talk about all games on the Sounds of Stadia podcast, which will never have either of our discussed games, probably ever in the future history. We'll get our own racer.
Admittedly, there's a potential for Crash. There isn't a potential for Mario Kart.
Yeah, you could get.
I should have brought that to the table, but I didn't need it, I guess. Yes, you can check us out on the Sounds of Stadia podcast every week, where we round up all the Stadia and gaming news for your listening and viewing pleasure. We also do weekly live streams every Thursday, 8 o'clock UK time, where we play a multitude of games across all platforms, all genres we play, and we round up the week on a Friday, usually by broadcasting our Sounds of Stadia side quest episode, where we go off the beaten go-kart track and just talk a little bit deeper about a Stadia and gaming discussion for about half an hour or so. And we love everyone's support. We love everyone. And at the end of the day, we're all gamers at heart, and we love everything in jest, of course, but we love all games. And yes, we're all winners here when we play games. And youtube.com/Sounds of Stadia. Check it out. We'd appreciate it.
Very true. It's very true. Thank you for appearing in my courtroom today. Counselor Richie, would you like to add anything to that? Or, he told them where they can find you on YouTube. Maybe tell them where they can find you on Twitter.
You can find me at Richie C89. You can find Chris at CyberChris2077. You can find our other host, Tom, at AdaxisLP, all on Twitter. And, of course, at Sounds of Stadia on Twitter.
Fantastic. Thank you for appearing in my courtroom today. You can find yours truly, Judge Avery, on the internet at Charm City A on Twitter, because I live in Charm City, and my first initial is A. Chris is like, I could just take it all off. We're done.
We did it. We did it, everyone. We did it.
Of course. He's tripping.
We did it.
You can find, he's also he's like, I'm done with this. I'm leaving the courtroom, despite the fact that the judge has not even finished his plugs. That's fine. It's fine. You can also find me as the host of the Gaming Source Network Roundtable, the GSN Roundtable podcast, every Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern, other times British, depending on whether or not they're in summertime or UK or whoever counts. Just do the math. You can also find us here at the First Circuit Court of GSN on the Twitters at Best Game Pod. It's right there to my left, and I guess your left too. Or no, my right, your left. It doesn't matter. And you can follow the network at Gaming Source Net. Of course, we want you to do all of those crazy things as you're leaving the courtroom today. Be sure to hit that like button down below. Be sure to give us that thumbs up, because it really, really helps. If you have not subscribed to the channel, hit the subscribe button, hit the join button, do all of those internet things as you are leaving the courtroom today. And finally, if you think you're the best game of all time, there's only one way to win the case, and that's right here in my courtroom on the Gaming Source Network. Court is adjourned.